Hey guys, welcome back to the Curly Reader. My name's Amanda, and today I want to share with you all of the books that I'm planning on reading in January. Okay, so if you're new around here, the way that my TBRs work is that I try to have a minimal TBR, and that leaves me room for mood reading, which is what I really love to do. But I like to share with you guys the things that I know I'm going to be reading. This month it includes a book club pick, a couple of buddy reads, books that I'm reading for specific challenges that I made for myself this year, and what else is in here? A couple buddy reads, and then some ARCs, advanced reader copies that I have been gifted and want to read before they actually come out, so I can review them as is intended. So yeah, let's just get into this, and I'll share with you a couple of things that I know I'm going to be getting to in January. So let's start with buddy reads. I have two different buddy reads planned in January, both with different subscribers of mine. And so the first of which is going to be Beneath a Scarlet Sky. This is by Mark Sullivan. I'm going to be buddy reading this with my subscriber Lindsay. And this is a World War II historical fiction that follows an Italian teenager who basically wants nothing to do with the Nazis, and he's getting Jews smuggled through the Alps or over the Alps. And then it says, in an attempt to protect him, his parents have him enlist as a German soldier because they think that that will keep him out of combat. But after he's injured, he is actually recruited to be the personal driver of one of Hitler's head commandants in Italy. And so he ends up being like a spy for the Allies by being this guy's driver. And so, yeah, it sounds really good. I've heard really, really, really good things about this. Mark Sullivan is actually one of the authors on my authors that I would like to read this year. And so this will be knocking that goal, or checking that goal, whatever. And so, yeah, I'm excited to read this with Lindsay. My other buddy read is another World War II historical fiction, and I'm going to be reading this one with my subscriber Jessica, and that is City of Thieves by David Benioff. This is one that was on my TBR for Historathon in November, and I just ended up not getting to it, and so she had asked if we could buddy read this, and this has to do with the siege in Leningrad and two guys that are put in jail basically during that siege, and instead of being executed, they are given the task to do the impossible, which is to find a dozen eggs for one of the Soviet colonel's daughter's wedding cake. So they basically tell them, if you can find a dozen eggs for this wedding cake, we'll spare your lives. And so they set off in a town that is heavily depraved, and all supply chains have been cut off, and behind enemy lines sort of thing. And so, yeah, it's not a very long one, but I've heard it's fantastic, and so very excited to read that with Jessica. All right, book club pick for this month. So I recently joined a book club on Facebook that is a middle grade book club for adults. This came out of, you guys have heard me talk about the Mom Advice book club, book group on Facebook that I'm part of. I don't typically participate in her specific book club. She has a one book a month book club and book discussions and everything within the group. I typically don't participate in that. However, one of the other members had asked if anybody knew of a middle grade books or children's literature adult book club, and nobody had, and so she created one, and so I'm excited to participate in that. She already has picked out 12 books for the year, and we're going to do one each month, but the one for January is Starfish by Lisa Phipps. Is that right? Yeah, Phipps. This has to do, or this follows, what is her name? Ellie, who is overweight, and she is getting bullied at school, and she is just learning how to be herself and own her space and all that. It is a book written in verse, and so, yeah, I've heard amazing things about this one, so I'm really excited to read it and discuss it with that new book group. I will link that group down below if anybody is interested. All right, Now, on to a couple more challenges that I have. The first of which is Chantelle at an Intentional Life's Read Your Bookshelf Challenge. Her challenge for January is to read a book with a quiet word in the title. So anything that references quiet, that seems quiet, whatever. And so for this one, I decided I was going to go with The Midnight Library because I figured midnight and library both could be quiet. This is a book that I was gifted by Lindsay from Lindsay's Little Library during our Christmas book exchange. And so, yeah, I figured I would read this one in January, and that would check off Chantelle's Read Your Bookshelf Challenge. And then also one of my goals this year was to read 2 books from the book exchange every month. And so this is one of the ones that I picked for this month. This has to do with, Nora, who it says her life has been full of misery and regret, and she comes upon the Midnight Library where each of the books enable Nora to live as if she had done something differently. So she can change things in her past, undo regrets, things like that. And so it's just a book about choices, life choices, how we get to where we got. I don't know if I said that right. But yeah, I'm excited to read that one. The other book that I'm reading from the Christmas Book Exchange this month that I'm very excited about is one from Krista, and that is In the Midst of Winter by Isabel Allende. This is one that I actually had contemplated buying before Krista got it for me. So I want to read this one because it just looks really, really wintry. It's all snowy. It just seems like a very atmospheric winter book. But this follows it's set in Brooklyn during a snowstorm in the 1970s. Okay. So it travels from present day Brooklyn to Guatemala in the recent past to the 1970s Chile and Brazil. But it has to do with a professor in his 60s. He hits a car of an undocumented immigrant from Guatemala, and she ends up showing up at his house seeking help, and then he doesn't really know what to do, so he asks one of his tenants, who is an academic from Chile, for her advice, and it's just about them and all 3 of their lives intertwine, and I'm not sure, but it sounded really interesting, and it seems like a wintry book, so I figured I would knock that one out in the winter time. And then ARCs that I'm planning on reading this month. So ARC stands for, or ARC stands for Advanced Reader Copy. These are books that can either physically be sent to you from an author, or a lot of times we'll talk about e-ARCs, which are electronic ARCs. So ebooks that are sent that we read on Kindles or things like that. We meaning reviewers. But yeah, so 2 of them that I know for sure I want to read in January. The first of which is Ripped Away by Shirley Riva Vernick. This is one that obviously was sent to me by the author, and this is a middle grade book. It's very short. It has to do with Abe Perlman, who wanders into like a fortune teller, and then he is whisked away to London, in Victorian London, right in the middle of all of the Jack the Ripper escapades that are going on. He is Jewish, and he ends up, one of his friends, or his crush, I think her name's Mitzi, she ends up there as well, and they are in the middle of this during the Jack the Ripper murders, I don't know. There was a lot of anti-Semitism, xenophobia, that sort of thing going on. And so they're like thrown right into the middle of this as 2 young Jewish kids. And so this talks a lot about that and Jack the Ripper and just time travel, and it sounds really interesting. So I'm planning on reading and reviewing that. That comes out in February 8th. And then the other book that I will be reading in January that I'm so excited about is the new Ruta Sepetys book. It comes out on February, not sure, I'll put it on the screen. But I did get an e-ARC of it. It's called I Must Betray You. It is about a it's about a Romanian boy. I had another book that was set in Czechoslovakia. No, this one is set in Romania, I'm pretty sure. Oh my goodness, guys. I don't have the book in front of me. But it is about a boy who wants to be a writer. It's during a dictatorship and just a very communist, authoritarian government. And he wants to be a writer, but he's not allowed to, like, write down his dreams and stuff. And so he ends up being recruited kind of as a spy by the government, and he doesn't really know how to handle it. And so it's kind of about him making the choice to expose the government. And I'm so excited. I was very, very excited. I was asked to be part of like a pre-launch book club with Penguin Teen and get to attend a Zoom like book discussion with Ruta Sepetys, and I am so excited. Like, I might have squealed a little bit when I got the email, and yeah, so that's going to be taking place later in January, and so I need to read the book ahead of time, but I will be reading and reviewing that in preparation for its release in February. I'm so excited. So yeah, those are the 2 arcs that I 100% will be getting to in January. So yeah, those are my plans. Everything else that I'll be reading will be mood reading, just kind of going with the flow. What are you excited about reading in January? Let me know. Do you do monthly TBRs? Do you do yearly challenges? Do you keep track of them monthly? Let me know all the things. And yeah, if you've read any of these books, have any opinions about them, let me know that down below as well. And that's going to do it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you stick around and subscribe. And until next time, see ya.